everyone, I had a request for a video on how to colour a bird. So I found this bird in Maria Trolle's book Botanicum and thought that it would be a good one to show you. So I'm only going to colour the bird and the one cherry. I'm not going to do all the rest. I'll do that myself in my own time. Once I've shown you how to do one cherry, the others will be the same, and you can just do the bowl however you wish. And then I might do a little bit of blue pastel in the background, sort of cloud-like, although he's not in outside because this is a bowl. I might not, so I will have a think. But I thought I would just concentrate on the bit that I've been asked to do. So I'm going to come in a little closer so we can see the bird a little more closely to start with. There we go. Now I've got my Black Widow's pencils for this because I want something that I can get into all these little feathers details with. Okay, you don't have to colour every little tiny detail if you don't want to, but that was my thought. So what I'm actually going to do is start with a light grey. I'm just looking at what I have here. I've got a dim grey. I think we might use that. This is from the Cobra set. Now you don't have to use the Black Widows. You can use any pencils that you have. Just start with a light grey. So if you've got your Staedtlers, for example, you could use your lightest grey. I think in some sets the 80 is the lightest, but I think in some sets there isn't even lighter grey. But this isn't. There is a lighter grey in the Black Widows that I've got as the spider web. This is slightly browner, it's a little bit darker, but I wanted it to be able to show up, which is why I picked this one really. So the other one is almost too faint. So I'm just gently going over the whole of the bird. He is going to be a grey bird. Now you could do birds in all sorts of colours. Instagram has been showing me videos lately of someone colouring a parrot in all sorts of beautiful colours. It's a macaw, so it's, you know, red and yellow and blue and green, but you can use photos of birds to help you pick. This particular bird to me looks a bit like a sparrow, which absolutely is never grey, comes in browns, but you know, I'm just trying to keep it a little bit simple, both for me and for you. And I also think grey will go quite nicely with the cherry colours. Not that I've chosen my cherry colours yet, but you know, I was planning a sort of reddish cherry, pinky red, that sort of colour, or what they call a black cherry maybe, I don't know yet. But some cherries are yellow and red, but not this one. So that was another reason for choosing this colour. Now you can see I'm just trying to get a fairly even layer. Don't have to worry if you can't get it exactly even. It's not the end of the world. We're going to come back and work every piece again anyway. Now you need a sharp pencil. So I am going to sharpen up my pencil. Okay. And we're just going to deal with this little section on the front of the face to start with, and we are going to put lines, lots of little tiny lines. They don't show up very well actually because we're using the same colour on top of the colour that we've already put down, but I can see them. I don't know if you can see them. They're very pale. Okay, I wanted this bit to be pale. However, this next part we can do a little darker, so we can grab a slightly darker colour. I am looking at, this is the charcoal. I think that's my next darkest, so it's going to be quite a big jump, but I think we'll be okay. So again, sharp. I'm just checking, see if it's, yeah, I thought it looked a bit wobbly, but it's not. And again, lines. So just little tiny light lines. Now you need to have a little think about your size of your lines. You need to make them work for the size of the bird. So if your bird was enormous, you might be able to do longer lines, but this is quite a small bird, so we can do fairly small lines. And what I hope is that the lines begin to look a bit like shapes of feathers. Gosh, that was a strong Gloucestershire accent slipped out there. My boys always tease me. They were born in Gloucestershire too, but they tease me about my accent. I say certain words with a very strong accent, apparently. Girl, curtain, I don't know, it sounds normal to me. Right, for the tummy, I'm going to make it the same as the face. So I've gone back to the dim grey, and I'm going to be using that across here. The sun just tried to come out a bit. I hope it's not going to come across the desk. It's so cloudy, and I got wet when I was out this morning. It would be cruel for it to now be sunny when I'm inside, and I don't want it to come through the window. I can always put the blind down, but it will sort of affect the colour of the pictures. But I guess that's not that important. So just lines all the way through, all the way up here as well. Now we have these individual feathers that have been drawn in. I always deal with those in a different way. What I like to do is to try and make them look like they're sitting on top of each other. So I put a darker bit at the base where it's overlapping, and then leave the end paler. And as you do them all, it slightly gives the impression that the feathers are sitting up a little bit and overlapping each other, which is exactly how they have been drawn. I'm only using the dim grey still for this. Could use the charcoal, but I think that shows up enough. And I'm going to do a darker bit here as well, and then just fade that off like that. I'm looking at that tail, it's quite like a swift, isn't it? We were talking about swifts the other day because we had a crossword, and it was songbird 5 letters, and it ended in T, we think. And the only 5-letter bird ending in T we could think of was a swift. And we're thinking songbirds, lark, nightingale, blackbird. Those didn't fit. And then I said, husband, I said, I can't think of any 5-letter birds. And he was like, he thought of loads. Finch. Oh, I can't remember. He thought of another one as well. Oh, I did think of raven. Don't think that's a songbird. Anyway, I'm sure we're wrong. I'm sure there's one that we haven't thought of. But anyway, I haven't got very far through my crossword yet. I do the big issue crossword. The big issue is a paper in the UK sold by homeless people. And we have a lovely lady in Stroud she's got quite a big family, and she's foreign. So I don't know, I haven't spoken to her about her story, but you know, she's obviously come over here and sort of struggling, but the fact that she's trying to make a living by selling the magazine, I think is fantastic. So we always buy it. Well, husband's usually the one, she's at the farmer's market, husband usually buys from her. But I think she said she's got 8 children, and some of them are older, and she's a granny, I think, but some of them are still at school, and they're growing. They're always hungry and cold, and poor things. So I just admire the fact that she's trying so hard, you know. Must be difficult. And you know, I think some people get a little bit angry about it, but I think everybody's got a story, a reason. most people aren't in their situations necessarily through their own choice, you know, and so we need to have a little bit of sympathy for most people. There are a few people out there who aren't, you know, so kind and so troubled, but anyway, I always try and see the best in people. Okay, you can start to see, I hope, that how I've tried to make them look like the feathers are sitting on top of each other. We're going to do the same with this one too. I think most of us will be able to think of a time in their life when they needed a bit of help, whether that was financial, emotional, physical, you know, whether we were able to get it from friends, from family, or just sort of powered on ourselves. I think it's very hard to imagine there's a person who didn't need help at some point or another for something that wasn't due to their own fault. And so we need to, you know, be aware of that in others too. And some people don't tell us their stories, they don't want to come public. You know, they want to fight it out for themselves, and other people can see that they just need a bit of help. And I think as a worldwide family, we should be doing what we can to help. I was reading something about communities, and it was saying how as a parent, it was a podcast I was listening to, it was Dr. Chatterjee's podcast, and someone was I don't know who it was, saying, as a parent, we would do anything for our child. We want to make sure that they have everything that they need in life that we can possibly provide. Obviously, we can't all help our children to be millionaires. We can't all give our children everything so they never have to work, but we can prepare them in various different ways for life, and we will do that. But what he said was we also have to be aware of the community that our children are growing up in. Not only their house, their street, their school, their town, their county, their country, the whole world is something that they are going to be experiencing in different ways. And so we need to be aware that as well as helping them directly, we can help them indirectly too by making all of those things a better place. Here is a flat black, and I'm going to use it on the tail and wingtips to make it slightly darker. So I'm going to put the most at the very end and then fade it along. So I thought that was very interesting. It's not something I'd ever thought about before, and it did get me thinking that, you know, when my boys were in primary school, I used to be in the PTA, which is the Parent Teacher Association. We used to raise money for the school and put on various events, some of which weren't money raisers, they were more for to help give the children a fun experience. You know, like we would organise for Father Christmas to come in at Christmas, and every child would have a pressie, and different things like that. And we would pay so that Father Christmas could go again into just the very youngest children's class and give them all a book, because some children didn't have any books at home. And what I came to thinking was that me doing that volunteer work wasn't really helping my children directly. My children had books at home. We had resources, teaching resources. I used to work with them extra. We would always do the homework, times tables, we would read books and everything else. So we would do that, but by trying to encourage other parents to do it, or other children to have better experiences in school, that made the whole school environment better for my children, you know. And although it sounds really selfish, it is really. As a parent, we have to be a little bit. We are selfish. We want our children come first before anything. And I think, you know, that's probably extremely natural. And so by making that environment better for them, hopefully they had a whole better experience than they would have done otherwise. And so that is how I sort of took to thinking about this point about making the community in the world better, and it helps our children, so it's indirectly. And I think we can apply that to lots and lots of things. I'm not going to get political, but the way you vote, the way we think about treat our environment, the way we interact with other people, all of those things are going to eventually have an influence on them. Now we can leave the bird here. Obviously I haven't done his beak yet, but I'm going to do a little bit more with darker black. That's the flat black. I'm going to grab this spider, a black widow, sorry, which is the black, and just do a few other little bits. I'm just being a little bit finicky, I guess, really. You don't have to go into this detail. The first thing I'm thinking is there might be a little bit of shadow behind this wing, because this wing is in front of this one. So I'm just going to run my black pencil along here and just add a little shadowy line, and at the back of the head there. I'm just going to fade that a little bit out so it's not a harsh line, like that. And also here. There we go. And I'd like to go around the edge of each feather of these ones, just to emphasize the shadow a bit more of each one. So there's lots of things that we can do to sort of help, and I think just one thing that I think is really important is walking around with a smile on your face if you can. So when you go out shopping, when you go out for a little walk your dog, country walk, you know, whatever it is you're doing, smile at the people that you see. Can you imagine what an impact that might have on somebody? Think about if that person that you see lives alone, they don't see anybody else, they never speak to anybody, that going out, is there any human contact, and they just see you smile. What a difference that would make to them. They might not even realise it makes a difference, but it really would. So that's one thing I always try and do. Now in the town where I live, it's very friendly. So you can go further. If you're on the canal path, you can say hello to everybody that you walk past and you're not looked at oddly. In some places you would be, so you have to be wary. So we do that. So saying hello to everybody is rather nice. And today I saw the heron, a heron. I say the heron, I don't think there's only one. And it was on a little pond area that I just come by, and I saw this man, oldish man. He was wearing headphones, which is quite fun. Normally when you see people wearing headphones, they're young people, but anyway. And I smiled at him and said good morning, and he smiled back, and I said to him, there's the heron. Sorry, telephone. Person asked if it was me. I asked who was calling, and they hung up. I'm half expecting them to ring back. Anyway, so I saw this man, and I said to him, oh, I just saw the heron on the mill pond there. And he went, oh, did you? And I said, go and have a look out for it. So, you know, it's rather nice, isn't it, to think that somebody's just gone and been able to share in your joy, really, which was rather fun. Now this part here, which I coloured a little bit darker, I'm going to fuss with a bit more with this black. I'm just going to put a few more dark bits on. You don't have to. As I say, I'm just fussing with it, really. And I'm going to go around the edge of the eye. I'm not going to use this colour though. I think I'll use the charcoal because I don't want it to be black, because we've got black in the eye anyway, but just around the edge it's white and I want to colour that. So I don't want it to be too dark, but as I say, I don't want it to be black. There we are. And I think that helps emphasise that white dot, which makes it look more shiny. While I've got the charcoal in my hand, I'm going to do the beak. I may change my mind and do it darker. But I'm just going to leave a little white bit there and make it extra dark at the bottom. There. I'm happy with that bird. We're going to do the cherry. Now, oof, what colour? So many colours to choose from. What colour is that? I think I'm going to start with the base of watermelon, oops, from the spider set, and then build a little bit. Let's move the bird across a little bit. There he is. Now we've got these, we've got this drawn on here, so some shine drawn on here. I'm going to just colour the whole thing in watermelon to start with. And then think about what to do. Now cherries are ultra shiny, so this bit I think needs to be white. Now this paper is cream, so I'll be going over that with a pen eventually, but not yet. I'm going to sort of mark out where I think it might be darker. I'm thinking it might be darker down here at the bottom, like that, and then lighter up towards there. But this is obviously not the right colour. I'm going to now grab a different colour and darken it right up. Oh, the lead fell out. Did you hear it? I've got a new blade in my sharpener, so I think that must have been loose already. There we go. I've just got bits of lead all over the desk. So this is a burgundy. It's quite dark. I'm not going to push too hard. I don't want it really dark, but I do need it darker. Now if we had a cherry red, we'd be laughing, but we don't, so just need to darken up our pinky red a little bit. And I sometimes think mixing up colours can be quite a lot of fun. It teaches you a little bit, and you can practice on scrap paper first if you're not confident on whether it's going to work. I just go for it because I'm lazy. Okay, back to the watermelon, and I'm going to finish off now. I can't, there we go. I'm going to just go right over all of it again, because I want to get rid of that white paper that we can see. I want it to be really thick, so that I think that somehow helps it to look more shiny. Somehow, when you want a really high sheen. I don't know why, whether I'm just talking nonsense. Right, I'm going to brush that now, and I'm going to put some white in that. No, I'm not yet. That would be unwise. I need to do this. I'll be rubbing all over it. Right, leaf. What sort of colour? Is that the right colour? Maybe green grass? Let's try it. Ooh, clatter, clatter. Green grass. Here we go. This is from the Scorpion set. But some cherries, if you do a black cherry, it they have a the stem is almost sort of cherry coloured. I'm going to do that top bit a little bit lighter, and then make it darker at the bottom. I think I'm going to make this stem a little bit lighter too. I want enough pencil there, and then this bit I'm going to come in here and make this darker, layer it up more, and then I can just fade it towards the edge of the leaf. Now I probably won't finish this video before, this picture before I edit the video. No, I know I won't. But I will finish it by the end of the month, so it will appear in my completed pages video. If I remember, I forgot to show one picture last month, but I will put it in on my Facebook as well, to take a photo, and you'll be able to see how it's done. And if I'm well organised, I'll put it on tonight, so it will sort of tie in with the release of the video. But I'm now going to just do that white. Now it can be quite tricky getting the white exactly right in the space. I'm going to do my best to eliminate the black and put in the white and just fill the space just right. There we go. Now we have got a mark here as well. I'm reluctant to cover that in case, hang on, in case it's not bleed proof and it goes pink and that would spoil it. So I'm just scribbling my two colours on my scrap paper. I'm going to put some white on top of the watermelon and burgundy and see whether it goes pink, and then I'll know. Seems fine, so I'm going to do it. There we go. And there is our cherry. So the other cherries in the dish, as I said, I will do the same, and I'm probably add in a different colour, like maybe purple, something like that, to make it brighter, because obviously the bird is quite plain, but that was the idea really, to keep him quite simple, just so that you can see, you know, you could do him in any colour you wanted, you know, a red breast for a robin, do him browns, whatever you might want to do, but those are the techniques that would work, whatever colour you were doing. So I hope that was useful. I had fun anyway, and I hope that you did. So thank you for watching, and as I say, I'll post the picture or it'll be in my completed pages. I'll try hard to remember. Sorry, sometimes my thoughts just But thank you for watching. Do have a really, really lovely day. Take care of yourself and happy colouring.